This weekend, Giants Live returns to Scotland for the World Tour Finals. Glasgow has been amazing the last few years for this competition. The fans up there are fantastic. Both Stoltmans are competing in this one, so I think they're going to be even more electric than we've seen before. And I think it's going to be an amazing comp. We've got the World Log Lift Championships. We've got Ian Bibby coming back for that, who is the current log lift world record holder. We've got the junior log lift world record holder. It's going to be a great weekend of Strongman. So the final Giants Live of the year. I know technically it's not the final Giants Live because we have the World Team Championships, but this is the final individual competition. It's kind of the accumulation of all the shows, you know, leading to the major event, if you like. They're making this bigger and better. It's the most prize money in any Giants Live competition, and all the athletes will be battling hard for it.
It's going to be an interesting one. We've got the current World's Strongest Man, the last World's Strongest Man in Tom Stoltman, but both of them just a week out from the Rogue Invitational as well. So it's going to be interesting to see.
That's an interesting factor. Yeah. Obviously, we've seen it before with both of these athletes, you know, having back-to-back shows. Luke Stoltman as well is going to be doing the Rogue Invitational. And obviously some of the you know, someone like Evan, who's been at many Giants Live, deciding not to do this one to focus on the Rogue. So that's
100% the right choice for Evan. He's done every Giants Live he could have done this year already, and he's doing the team one. So it made total sense to not do this. Yeah. But on that note, let's go through the athlete lineup, starting with none other than the two-time World's Strongest Man 2021 and 2022 champion, Tom Stoltman.
As we've said as well, Luke Stoltman, former Europe's Strongest Man and former winner of this competition, is going to be competing as well.
We also have multiple times Wales Strongest Man, fan favourite Gav Bilton.
Next up, we've got my favourite Irishman and former UK Strongest Man, Paro Dwyer.
Then we have none other than the current World's Strongest Man, Mitchell Hooper.
Now, someone I'm looking forward to seeing back is Luke Richardson. We saw him a few weeks ago at England's Strongest Man. He looked fantastic there. This is a step back up to that world-class level. He looked incredible at England's. Looking forward to seeing how he does in this one.
Next up, we have a Giants Live newcomer in Andre Fouchou. Apologies for pronunciation, but he is, as you mentioned earlier, the junior log lift world record holder.
Yeah, I believe he's done 206 kilos on the log.
Yeah.
Which is just mind-boggling as a junior.
And he's 21 years old.
Looking forward to seeing what he can do against the top seniors. Next up, we have Eddie Williams, who was amazing at the Strongman Classic, smashing the record in the Nickel Stones. Looking forward to seeing the singing Strongman back over in the UK.
Next up from New Zealand, we have Matt Ragg, and he was a World's Strongest Man finalist this year in his debut year.
Is this his first Giants Live?
It is, yeah. So he qualified from OSG last year.
Yeah, I think he could mix things up here. He's looked really, really good. Next up from Ukraine, we've got this year's winner of Europe's Strongest Man, Pavlo Kordiaka.
Next up, representing Ghana, is the return of Evans Nana, who was so impressive coming in last minute at the World Open this year. So let's see what he can do with a bit of prep in Glasgow.
Our next athlete from the USA is Tyler Cotton. This is a man that qualified to do a Giants Live last year. Unfortunately picked up an injury, but he's got that invite and we're looking forward to seeing him over.
And no log lift championships would be complete without Ian Bibby, who has won 4 out of 4 log lift championships, and he is looking mean and ready on his Instagram.
And finally, from Scotland, the newly crowned Scotland's Strongest Man, Conan, who will be taking part in his first Giants Live. So another real solid Giants Live lineup. We've got some new names, but some really exciting names. I'm looking forward to seeing Matt Ragg. Matt at World's Strongest Man was phenomenal. Yeah. I think he's got some very good events in this competition. He's not been, competing lots, so his focus has been on this. That makes him dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really looking forward to seeing Pavlo Kordiaka back. He had a great start to the year. He was obviously winning Europe's Strongest Man, 6th in the world at World's Strongest Man also. Yeah. And then the return of Luke Richardson. There's a lot going on here, and it's a really nice mix of some of the best guys in the world and some newcomers, and what a first competition to do, eh?
Some of these guys, going up against like a Tom Stoltman and a Mitch Hooper is going to be a baptism of fire, but how can you not? So event number 1 is the log lift for max, and we've got the current log lift champion in Ian Bibby, 229 kilos. Can he go beyond that this year? Now, you're sometimes in the know more than I am. Is Ian Bibby doing the full competition?
Yeah, I believe so.
Is everyone doing the full competition?
I believe so.
Okay.
I haven't seen guest lifter.
Yeah, so everyone is down to do the full competition.
So. Yeah.
I did see Iron Bibby post up a couple of videos. His pressing is looking very, very strong. His pressing always looks very, very strong.
Yeah,
just ridiculous shoulder power on that man. It's quite insane. And as you mentioned earlier, he's done the Log Lift World Championship 4 times.
Yeah.
And he's won it 4 times.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. So he's, in terms of a winner, it's very hard to look past Iron Bibby. But what I have put together is a list of athletes that you can see on the screen now, all of these having lifted 200 kilos or more in competition.
So yeah, as you can see there, 229 kilos, Iron Bibby. That is the biggest log lift ever in competition. Our second biggest lifter in competition is Luke Stoltman with 221. Now, Luke is a phenomenal log presser, but he hasn't had the best results this year on his log.
But do you know what? He's had his deadlift results have been much better this year.
I agree with you, but we're not talking about a deadlift right now.
I know, but I'm wondering, and you should know as a coach. Just put you to the test a little. Is that maybe a result of him working on other areas? It
could well be. It could well be. I don't want to kind of go into too much because obviously Luke has, he had some time off.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, she's pregnant now, which is amazing. Now Luke is trying to get himself back to his best, and he's such an amazing presser. There was a time we were kind of looking at him at breaking the world record. I still see him doing exceptionally well on the log in this lineup.
Yeah.
I think he needs a big lift just to help his own confidence. I think going into the Rogue the week after, he'll want to, put something big on the board. Not necessarily a world record, but just maybe a PB for this year. And I think if he can do that, it's going to really build that confidence and get himself into believing that maybe next year he could once again be a contender for the world record.
So we've already mentioned Andre, an incredible lift for a 21-year-old. Mitch Hooper, his biggest lift in competition is 200 kilos, which he did twice at the Shore Classic. And then Tyler Cotton has also lifted 200 kilos in comps. That was at the American Log Lift Championships at the 2021 Clash on the Coast.
It's interesting because, there's some big names that have done big lifts in, the gym and, other types of overhead lifts. But it's really, we're just going off what we've seen in terms of results. I think someone like Tom Stoltman is worth looking out for on the log. He's looking really, really strong. Obviously training hard for the Rogue Invitational where they have the axle press. So his overhead is getting back up to, his best. I think he's another guy that can be on that 200 kilo cusp. Gav Bilton. Now, Gav's best result in an international show is not huge.
It's 180.
But he's doing like 200 kilos in the gym, so another guy that could potentially be up there. It's about getting it right and peaking for the competition.
Pavlo Cordiaca, his best lifting competition is 185, but we've seen 205.5 from him in the gym.
Yeah,
Luke Richardson's a very interesting one. I think his biggest lifting comp is 170 at Europe's Strongest Man 2020.
I think the thing to remember with Luke is he's actually not competed that much, plus he's had a big gap now.
This is only his 4th international competition. He's done Europe's once, World's twice. That's it. This is his 4th international.
That's crazy, isn't it? And he was tied with Jack Osborne, who, if you just watch our video, he was doing 205 on the log just last week. And Luke tied with Jack on the log at England's Strongest Man. So another athlete I expect to see a big, big number. Certainly look to be hitting a competition PB.
Yeah. So there's quite a few people that could go over the 200 kilo barrier. We don't know the weight jumps yet, so that's going to dictate a lot. But it's hard to look past Iron Bibby for the win on this one, personally, based off of his track record in this competition.
Yeah, for me, Iron Bibby has to be the favourite. The one thing I will say on this Giants Live log, we have seen issues in the past with athletes struggling a little bit with the clean and struggling a little bit with lighting. So will we see those issues this time round? It's never bothered Iron Bibby. Yeah, it's going to be good. I think, like you say, I think Iron Bibby is the big favourite here, but we could see some real battles around the 200. I think 190 to 210 could be very, very interesting. And the interesting thing about this competition is you've got that, we're starting off with that log for max, and then it's quite a cardio conditioning based competition.
Yeah.
And we're jumping into the Sandbag steeplechase, which we saw at OSG Europes this year. We recently saw at Britain's Strongest Woman and England's Strongest Man, and Luke Richardson on this was absolutely lightning.
He was lightning fast, and this is going to be very quick because you've got Tom Stoltman, who is incredible. Like, he's just built perfectly, isn't he? Just scoop things up.
I can just see, yeah, like you say, he's just going to scoop it up. He's going to launch it over the steeplechase. His fitness is decent.
Yeah.
You know, he kind of covers so much ground with every step.
It's like a horse galloping.
It's going to be a matter of not making a mistake for all of the guys on this, because there's some fast, fit athletes. I mean, you think how fast Luke was at England's Strongest Man, but we add into this competition Pavlo Cordiaca,
Yes.
Mitch Hooper,
Yeah.
Tom Stoltman. You know, these are guys that can just really motor.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Pavlo, do you remember at Europe's Strongest Man? Very different type of event, but he is fast and just blindly. He's always my favourite for a loading race, but who knows?
I think we could see some rapid times. I think a small mistake could cost someone here. So next event is the axle deadlift, and we've seen this many times now. We've got some great deadlifters in this competition. It's going to be interesting, sort of, you know, how the first two events start to impact them on the deadlift. But, you know, Tom Stoltman for me, someone that's deadlift, when he's confident, his deadlift kind of just improves quickly.
Yeah.
Mitch Hooper, we've seen some amazing deadlifts from him this year. Obviously, World's Strongest Man, very, very good for reps there. Matt Ragg
is a great deadlifter. Luke Richardson's a great deadlifter as well. There's a few guys here who can really hang, but I think it will be between Tom and Mitch. Now, I've looked at their track record. They've deadlifted together 3 times in competition. Twice Mitch has won it, once Tom has won it. The time Tom won it was the Max Hummertide deadlift.
Yeah, the most recent.
Yeah, it was. A slightly different deadlift there as well. So I think those two would be my favourite for a deadlift.
I would agree. So next we move on to the Conan's wheel. Now there's been some interesting results on this one. You can see on the screen here. These are the results from World's Strongest Man this year, where all these athletes used the same implement.
Yeah.
And Pavlo Cordiaca is the number one on out of the athletes competing. He went 742 degrees. Paro Dwyer proving that he's extremely good at this. Now, we've seen Par do Conan's a number of times now, been very consistently performing well on this, so I'd expect to see big points from him. Mitch Hooper in his group at World's Strongest Man was in a luxury that he knew what he needed to do and stopped. The interesting one for me is Tom Stoltman.
Because he had that same luxury, because he won the log ladder. He went last on the Conans in his group. He was in a ridiculous Conans group, to be fair to him, because he had Pavlo Cordiaca and Paro Dwyer in there. Bobby was performing brilliantly. Eddie Williams was in his group also. Tom came last on the Conans at Worlds.
Yeah, but I think we could see better from Tom this time round.
Also, different piece of equipment. Now, I strongly suspect the Worlds ones is quite a bit tougher. Pavlo Cordiaca managed 742 there. On this Giants Live kit at Europe's this year, he did 1,009 degrees.
Which is the record on this
It was almost a full rotation on top of the world record at the time. Interestingly, his results are very similar. So he got 722 at Worlds, 733 at Europe's, but at Europe's he had the injured foot because he was doing something
so we
in
could
the
see,
gym.
we could potentially see more from Par this time round.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see what Mitch can do when really pushed against the likes of Pavlo and Par, who are so good at this event, because I don't think we've seen that stretch in him yet, but maybe we did, and he was grateful to be able to put it down when he did.
And finally, it's the Atlas stones, and I believe it's a new set of stones.
Yeah, Giants Live posted that they've got the new Atlas Endurance set. There's been a few mishaps this year, hasn't there? Especially with the fifth stone.
Now, I remember these are the stones that Tom Stoltman used to break his record during COVID.
Yeah.
They are very nice stones. Now, one thing I will say is I don't think we can compare times on this new set of stones to what we've seen in the past.
No.
You kind of almost have to start a new set of records with a particular set of kit when it comes to events like Atlas stones, because it's not universally the same.
No.
So I think the finish on these stones is very, very nice. I think, depending on the weights that they use in the competition, we're going to see some very fast times.
We're going to see some great times. And I think no matter what stones you use, it's always difficult to look past Tom Stoltman for a win. Like the only time, obviously that huge mishap at this competition 2 years ago, him and Evan at the same time. Bizarre.
Most strongmen are a little bit inconsistent on stones. We've seen Luke have bad runs on stones. We saw it most recently in Cardiff. Mitch has had bad runs.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare to see Tom Stoltman have a bad run.
I've seen it.
We've seen that mishap.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even, that was kind of a bizarre, circumstance. But we've got some very good stone lifters, the likes of Gav Bilton. His stone's just steadily improving all the time. I think we could see some really rapid times, but for me, you just don't look past Tom Stoltman when it comes to out of stones. So there we have it. Athletes, events. It's going to be a great competition to end the Giants Live year. Barring the team competition. And, people will say, oh, you're picking Mitch Hooper again for a podium. I am picking a battle between 3 men in this competition.
Give me your 3.
And I'll tell you why. Tom Stoltman.
Yeah.
Clearly, I think Tom is really getting back into great shape right now. He's looking focused. I don't see him having a weak event. Now, the interesting thing with Tom, with these set of events, there's no weakness there.
No.
Other than stones, maybe none of his favourite events, but I think he's just got to make sure he improves on the Conan circle. And I think he can. We've seen him do shield carries where he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I think if he's got what it takes to be good at it, just needs to get the setup right. I'm sure he's been training it. If that improves, he is going to be very, very hard to beat.
I think the win for Tom hangs on the balance of the Conan circle, personally. If his performance is like it was at Worlds comparatively, I think it could cost him the overall win. Yeah,
I agree. I think Mitch Hooper, we've just seen him be on a podium now in so many competitions. He has very few weaknesses. He's always solid. So I think he has to be in the running for another podium here. And the other athlete I think is going to be on the podium is Pavlo Kordiaka.
I thought you were going to say Luke Richardson.
I'd love to see Luke get on the podium.
Yeah.
But I think Pavlo has some exceptional events.
I think so
He's a
too.
very, very good log lifter. Although we haven't seen that 200 plus in competition yet, I think this will be the time to do it. I think the steeplechase and the Conan circle for him are going to be amazing. The big question for him is going to be the deadlift.
Yes.
That could cost him.
But he won Europe's Strongest Man in a 5-event competition that had a deadlift.
He did, yep. And I think there's athletes in this lineup that are beatable for him on the deadlift. And that's kind of, if he can get that mid-table on the deadlift, a win on the Conans, a win on the steeplechase, he's putting himself in a strong position. Decent stone lifter.
Yeah.
And, he's looking in good shape right now. So
does,
I think that would be my top 3. Never be surprised to see different results going on there.
No.
I think Iron Bibby is the man to watch when it comes to the log.
Yeah.
I don't think the rest of the competition suits Iron Bibby.
I don't think it's the best event against some of these guys like Tom, Mitch, Luke, Pavlo, etc. I think Luke Richardson's one to watch.
I agree.
I only found one Conan's result for Luke, and it was a while ago. It was 2020 Britain's Strongest Man. It was the same equipment though. He did 620 degrees, which
isn't bad.
It's not bad, but at this year's Europe, that would have been 10th place.
Yeah, but
it's such a long time ago. It's really hard to judge.
And the way he was moving on the steeplechase at England's Strongest Man, the way his training's been going, I'd expect a lot better. I would not be surprised to see Luke Richardson on the podium. I'm interested to see some other battles. I think Paro Dwyer has much better events this competition than we've seen in the past. I got a lot of crap for saying Par's not done so well recently. We had a good old chinwag and sorted things out. But there are some of his best events in there. I think he can be good on things like the steeplechase. I think his Conan's is extremely good. Log is not bad.
It's got a 180.
Deadlift is not bad. Stones are not bad. So I think we could see a good performance from him. Do I think he can get on the podium? No. That's just my honest opinion. Matt Ragg is an interesting one.
Matt's very interesting. Let's not overlook Matt Ragg here. Very hard to predict though, because we just haven't seen enough of him.
I've always been impressed when I've watched him.
Yeah,
he hasn't done that many competitions.
He's great at Atlas stones. Yeah, as well.
And that's why I kind of, I'm looking forward to seeing how he does.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised to see a big performance from Matt Ragg. Yeah. Luke Stoltman, I would love to see him raise that level back to his best in his hometown. And like I said, we are starting to see, I think in Cardiff, he was looking very good. He just had that mishap on the stones that kind of cost him quite badly in the end. But he looked very, very good up until that point. So I think if Luke is still building from that performance there, we could see a solid performance.
He won the loading race as well in Cardiff. His deadlift is looking better. He's a great log lifter. He could do very well. Again, it could be the Conans that ends up costing someone like Luke.
I think Luke it's the Conans and then the deadlift as well. And I know his deadlift got better, but he's still going to drop some points on it. That's the question. Looking forward to seeing Evans, obviously a real exciting up-and-coming guy. Gav Bilton just came, was it second in Cardiff?
Yeah, he was on the podium there, yeah.
And, you know, Gav just continues to surprise people, continues to get better. Athletes like Conan, I think it's a great opportunity to just have no pressure, go there, enjoy the show, enjoy the experience. The first time in front of a huge crowd like this is going to be amazing for him. Tyler Cotton, Tyler's going to struggle, I think, in this one.
Tyler's a huge log lifter. But Tyler's not a huge guy, is he?
No. He could be athletic and, you know, could do well.
Yeah.
He was amazing at America's Strongest Man last year.
Yeah,
Since then, his results haven't been the best. Hopefully he proves me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, when you look at the likes of Tom Stoltman...
It's just such a tough lineup,
isn't it? It's a very tough one to come in. So we'll see what kind of shape he's in. But I'll stick with my guns of Tom, Mitch and Pavlo as the top three, potentially Luke Richardson replacing one of them.
Do you know, I would put them in that order as well.
Tom, Mitch,
if Tom doesn't mess up the Conans, I think Tom wins.
I think you could be right.
I think if Tom can stay within...
And the interesting thing of that is currently Tom and Mitch head to head. It's 3-2 to Mitch.
It's 3-2 to Mitch. So if Tom wins here, they'll be tied 3 each. If Mitch wins here or just beats Tom, then he stretches his lead further. Very interesting with these two. I think
those two are going to have some battles for the foreseeable future.
Do you know who they are? They're what we wanted from Mateus and Martins. That new rivalry to replace Brian and Zydrunas. Yeah, it's what we've needed all along. And it's going to get spicy. I think if Tom stays within 2 points of Mitch on the Conans, Tom wins the overall competition. That's my hot take. But I think Mitch could beat Tom by more than 2 points. So I think Mitch could win as well.
I think we're getting way too complicated now.
I spent all night analysing the data and now my brain is fried. So wrap it up, Lozzie.
Right, guys, as always, let us know your thoughts. You can go into as much detail as you want, like Liz. You can just be sporadic like me, throw out what you think is going to happen and then not care if you're totally wrong. But
I care.
I hope you guys enjoy the show. The live stream will be available in the link below. If you haven't got tickets, there may still be some. I'm not actually sure.
Some, not many.
But if you're looking to go live, get your tickets very, very quickly because they are selling out fast. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time. I don't know what to say.
Then we have none other...
So another good, strong lineup. You know, we're seeing new names at every single Giant slot. Did we do Gav?
Yeah, I did Gav.
Okay.
Right, start again.